But for this episode, I think we're going to do some classic Chapo. You know, we've been talking about, obviously, the Democratic primary heating up. We've been talking about Joe Biden's senility, Kamala Harris's walking back Medicare for all. But we gotta return to the guy.
Lord forgive us, we're back on our bullshit.
We're back to the bullshit. Our guy.
The big boy.
The big
beautiful boy. We got to talk about him, folks. He is redlining. Over the last 48 hours, he has just put the fucking pedal to the metal. So this episode, we are just going to put our dipstick into the old boy's cabeza, and we're going to just take the temperature of whatever juice is in there.
Yeah, we got to talk. The big boy in the White House, Donald Trump, has, you know, like Matt said, over the last 48 hours, said, I don't know, a half dozen of like some of the most insane, like, you know, again, in the alternate reality would be like each one of those little gems would have, you know, could warrant maybe a book or like a year-long news coverage.
In the 90s, any one of them would have brought down a presidency and been all anyone talked about.
All right, where do you guys want to begin? I would like to begin with the new experimental stimulant that he wants to give to the troops to stop them from killing themselves.
Hell yes.
So Donald Trump, you know, in the light of a friend's recent suicide, has, you know, realized that psychology affects everybody. And what I believe he proposed today was giving ketamine to troops.
Yes.
That
is what people, because like with all of these statements, he says the thing, and then people have to read the chicken entrails to figure out what he actually meant, because in his cholesterol-clogged brain, what comes out, it has very little relationship to whatever someone told him. And he said today that on the question of veteran suicide, there's a wonderful new drug from Johnson & Johnson. They won't do it anymore. They won't kill themselves. It's a stimulant. It's great.
He says it has shown a tremendously positive effect. And he goes, this is a form of stimulant where if someone is really in trouble from the standpoint of suicide, it can do something. It's pretty well known. It just came out. We have calls into Johnson & Johnson now. We've been talking to them for 2 months on buying a lot of it. And then he also said, like, at a good price, too. So that's all you got to get in the deal, you know?
Well, that's like, I mean, I feel for him, whether you're just like a guy who's possibly on a European tour for your podcast or, you know, the president. It takes a while to, like, figure something out with the Ket man.
Well, that's the thing is people figured out what he was talking about. Like, when I heard stimulant, I thought, what, are we going back to, like, World War II and everybody's just going to be whacked out on Dexedrine? We're going to bring back Tanker's chocolate stuffed with fucking bennies? But it turns out what this is referring to probably is that they have created an aerosol nasal spray of ketamine, which is not a stimulant, Donald.
Quite the opposite.
The opposite. It's a fucking horse tranquilizer. It's a literal horse tranquilizer.
It is. The drug is called Spravato. It is a ketamine-like drug with the formal name esketamine, and a VA medical advisory panel has just sort of cleared it for use in treating things like PTSD and depression. You know, probably a good thing. And honestly, if he, you know, ramps up this ketamine for troops plan, soon after that, ketamine for everyone, we'll be doing campaign events for Donald Trump a little later this fall and in the new year. So
he's finally got me. It took a while, but he finally got me.
So
Virgil has already sworn his sword.
But what I like about this, though, is it gives us a chance to just sort of a few flights of fancy, just imagining Trump creating super soldiers with experimental drugs.
I mean, that would be good, but this just shows why we're going to lose the coming war, because our idea for drugging our troops is let's put them in a K-hole so that they can watch BoJack Horseman and feel better about, you know, the children they shot. Meanwhile, in China, they're injecting, you know, industrial solvents into their brain stems to dissolve their ability to like feel fear, and giving them like a fucking backpack full of time release steroids that's directly injected into their femoral arteries, and they're going to just start they're going to just destroy our troops by hand. They're not even going to use guns.
Private, what is your major malfunction? Is your imposter syndrome acting up? I want to hear you. Are you valid?
They're going to give the troops the drug nuke from RoboCop 2. No, but Trump needs to start. Felix, come on. He's got to start the Spartan program. The fall of Reach was a big defeat, a total failure.
And the Forerunners, you know, they had a great thing, but they had these little guys, but there were a lot of them. A lot of little guys become one big guy. And the big guy, he was in a big library, bigger than 100 bookstores put together. And bookstores used to be bigger, and that's something we're looking into. But what they did was they made these rings. And I'm not talking about the rings, you know, I see a lot of people in the crowd. You are out of central casting for a proposal they would see in a book or a movie or a TV show. These were big rings that they took out all the little guys, all the flood. And they call them the flood because when you open those floodgates, oh boy. So we're going to look into, you know, possibly bringing the Forerunners back. And we got some guys, the most handsome guys we ever seen, 7 feet tall. They all have single names, and they're gonna fight. They're gonna fight on the rings.
Fall of Reach, total defeat.
Lord,
how stupid are we? But the Spartan program, we're gonna make so many Master Chiefs, and they're, quite frankly, tremendous.
This guy, Lord Hood, more handsome even than Christopher Lambert.
I took Cortana furniture shopping. She's all blue.
Miranda Keys is very nasty. Bye bye, honey. You don't look so good anymore.
So, I'll take it for you guys' word that that's all very funny.
You never played Halo Combat Evolved, Matt?
I never did.
Wow.
Wow. That's a formative experience.
That was the most fun to play for me. So stimulants, well, not stimulants. Trump is totally wrong.
We're
about
putting
that.
the troops in a K-hole.
We're gonna get all ketted up.
Yeah. No more foxholes, just K-holes.
We're gonna get
There's
ketted
no
up.
atheists in a K-hole.
All right, so this is the new documentary, Why We Vibe.
We're gonna get ketted up with the troops.
Excellent.
Yeah,
That's gonna
100%.
happen. That's gonna happen. Not a stimulant. Quite the opposite. Okay, next up, Trump has had Greenland on the brain. You know that, like, you know, sort of continent-sized nothing at the top of the planet.
That rapidly melting glacier
It's just basically a bunch of ice up there.
For now.
But he tried to do a
for
deal.
the next 2 weeks.
He tried to do a deal with the PM of Denmark and was just like, "Let me buy it off you." And they were like, "It's not for sale." And
Yeah, we don't really do that anymore. That's kind of more of like a 19th century thing where you just swap large land
Yeah, he wanted
masses
to do like the
between
Louisiana
countries.
Purchase, but for
Yeah.
Greenland, and he take it off Denmark's hands, like it's just a rental property that's gone to pot or something like that. And then the prime minister said no, not for sale, and he canceled an official state visit to Denmark, of which he says about that on the prime minister of Denmark saying no to him. It was not a nice statement, the way she blew me off. She's blowing off the United States. I know Denmark well. I have many friends from Denmark. I have many people from Denmark who live in the United States. I have many people from Denmark who live in the United
That
States.
sounds like
Sounds like he trafficked them.
So yeah, what do you make of the plan to buy Greenland and the
well,
subsequent
as
fallout?
many Trump defenders have pointed out, Harry Truman also proposed this during his presidency, and we all love him. So
No,
it's
one of the
hypocritical
most
to make
popular
fun of
presidents.
Trump for trying to get Greenland. Because what we ended up doing is instead of buying it, we just put military bases on it, and then you don't need to buy it because then it's just an outpost of American empire.
Yeah, also that, and also, you know how we talked about how like the big tax bill was their response to climate change? I think this is too.
Yeah.
This is like where you can live if you're like Jeff Bezos or Steve Wynn.
Can I just ask, do any of you guys have any idea what the genesis of this idea was? Because this is one of the things, usually, as we'll probably get into with a Trump thing, there's like some nugget of something that somebody said before, or even like a weird right-wing meme.
Yeah,
that
no,
he
I
got into
can.
his head.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I can figure that out. Like Tyler Cohen, the famous libertarian economist, he wrote this as like a proposal a while ago, and knowing how like shit gets to Trump, like different factions of people in the Trump White House, whether they're like the Javanka faction, more sort of regular, boring Republican, or like the guy who wrote the Machiavelli and Men's Warehouse book, the Michael Anton people, they will all try to like get articles and shit to Trump, but like extremely abridged versions of these articles to get him to say them and try to do them. And I can assume someone on like the more libertarian side of things tried to get this to him, and it just sort of filtered through his brain to the point where he just directly asks the far right prime minister of Denmark, can I have it?
Well,
You
why
just
does
give it
Tyler
to me.
Cohen think we should have Denmark?
Well,
Greenland.
why do libertarians think anything? I don't know. Like fucking
can do like age of consent experiments on Denmark that aren't allowed in the mainland.
just like a place where you put like the byproduct for 3D printing. But Tyler Cohen, I could read why he wanted to buy Greenland. I'm sure it's like actually much more boring than we think it is.
We were talking about it on the train, and Matt, I think you had the most convincing ideas that he looks at the common map,
The Mercator projection.
Yes, exactly, which makes it
Which
look
makes
much,
Greenland, because Greenland is big, but the Mercator projection makes it look absurdly huge. And he probably just saw that and was like, why do we have that? It's right there. We should have it.
there's like a few people living in Greenland.
There are natives there, like Inuits who live in Greenland, which is owned, quote unquote, by Denmark. But like I said, it's also a U.S. military base. And in fact, in 1968, a fucking nuclear bomber crashed, and the fucking conventional bombs blew up, and there was a nuclear spill, basically. So it's one of many places all over the world that have been marked by America's military goofery. So it's already in the family.
What's his the Washington Post guy, Mark Thiessen?
Tyson, yeah.
Who was I remember mostly from being the chief torture apologist
Guy
for the
loves
Bush
torture.
administration.
Big fan.
He really loves torturing people and is like, happy to tell you about how
absolutely.
good it makes him feel. He said for everyone who was mocking Trump about this was really just revealing their own ignorance, because as global warming melts the Arctic, the control of Greenland will open up new shipping lanes, and he said this will be like a new Panama Canal.
To ship what? Where?
Well, just, all the stuff we need.
What stuff?
Oh, more oil.
There's not going to be anything.
Yeah, the troops.
There's not going to be any fucking trade. What are you trading? The fucking biome is going to collapse.
Dude, people still need stuff.
They won't get it. They're just going to die.
Calm down, Matt.
The fucking Amazon is on fire. This guy's president.
Yeah, this sucks, man. This shit sucks. I'm not gonna lie. This feels pretty bad.
Feels bad, dude.
Yeah.
That shipping, I've heard a bunch of that for years now. All that shipping lane stuff. Hey, that's the bright side. That's not only it's like it's one thing to be just a psycho, and I don't care who many dies, but you're beyond not caring about other people. You've also created an alternate reality that you're living in. You're not even taking your soullessness to apply it to the real world. You're applying it to a fantasy realm where you're still going to have all these profitable fucking trade routes in a world where half the arable land is turned into fucking deserts.
Yeah, it's the climate holocaust version of Marge Simpson making her own Pepsi for the home prom. It feels really bad, dude. It's bad for my vibome.
Yeah, I'm not feeling the vibe right now. I feel the opposite. I'm
feels like
not
shit.
vibing. I'm not thuming. I'm not vibing. I'm not goated on the sticks at all.
Yeah, I'm botting out.
What is okay? Tell me what that is. I never heard that
A
before.
bot is like a bad player.
Right? Yeah, I get that. 'Cause
So,
they
like-
play like a
Yeah,
robot.
yeah, botting out is like you just play terribly.
Okay, so you're playing like
You're having a
bot
bad
would.
day of games.
He's a very bad gamer, folks.
He was
He's
botting out.
He's botting out like a dog.
He would think Trump's growl. He would say the gamer words like so well. He's cracked.
He's cracked, folks. He's goaded. He's low key goaded on the sticks.
One of the most goated young men.
Back to the dipstick. We're I don't know. I think we haven't cracked the frontal lobe yet, but we're drilling in deep here. We've done Greenland. What's next on the agenda? Oh, right. Trump saying that he's king of all Jews. Like, I love that character from the old early Howard Stern shows, from the call-in king of all Jews. Trump said, what was it? He was quoting the talk radio host and right-wing gadabout Wayne Allen Root, which is
Wayne
the
Allen
most
Root.
serial killer sounding name I have
Absolutely.
heard outside of John Wayne Gacy.
People need to check his crawl space immediately.
Wayne
That is
Allen Root,
serial
who's
killer ass name.
he's a long time. He's like a sort of wannabe Wall Street guy with an enormous mouth and a really stupid face, who said that he was quoting Wayne Allen. Trump was quoting Wayne Allen Root, calling him the king of Israel and basically the second coming. Or then he said American Jews who are still Democrats and still voting for the Democratic Party are either misinformed or, quote, very disloyal. And he was asked to whom are they being disloyal? because of obviously Ilhan Omar and AOC, Rashida Tlaib, who he's, him and again all of the other smart conservatives who supposedly hate him believe, of course, exactly the same thing, that this is horrible anti-Semitism and BDS, et cetera, et cetera. That's a new shine on the oldest prejudice there is, anti-Semitism. So he said that, and he was asked to clarify to whom are these American Jews who vote for the Democratic Party being disloyal to, and he said Israel. Which
That's
I love about that is that
great.
he is blown right through the anti-Semitic trope of Jews having dual loyalty and just made it one loyalty. There's
Single loyalty.
Single
to
loyalty.
Israel.
two countries, one loyalty.
And it's so great because the dual loyalty thing is supposed to be a horrible anti-Semitism. To even suggest that some American Jew would feel a loyalty to Israel that might conflict with their loyalty to the United States. And Trump just goes, yeah, no, they're only loyal to Israel. That's the only thing they should be loyal to. Because, and there's a lot of people have speculated this, and I'm 100% certain that it's true, he thinks that every Jew in America is an Israeli citizen, which technically they could be. They could activate that citizenship, but they haven't. Many of them, most of them, but in his head, they all are. They're all Israelis, and it's their country, and they're being very disloyal to the great man who runs it. Beautiful Netanyahu. He's great. Benjamin Netanyahu. We love him.
So, I mean, the usual. I mean, we've talked about these people before on the show. The trope police, right?
Oh yeah.
They keep having to find ways to deal with Trump saying insane and actually anti-Semitic things about Jewish people, largely to play up to his not at all Jewish psycho evangelical base. I mean, because that's who he's talking to.
Oh, of course.
Whenever he talks about Israel,
Yeah.
or Armageddon, or bringing about the apocalypse, he's not speaking to the zip code I grew up in. Let's put it that way.
It's the people who imagine that all the Jews are going to be killed in a cleansing fire, and then it's just going to be a giant water park that they get to go to, and there's no lines.
All right, so Trump now declared himself savior of Israel and king of all Jews, who are also all Israelis.
Folks, not only is he the king of Jews, he's also the chosen one. We
He
put
also
these things together. There's only one explanation. He's the second coming, folks.
Or the Antichrist.
He's the precious baby Jesus.
I mean, as we know from the Dr. Reverend Timothy LaHaye, the Antichrist will be a Jewish man. Trump's
true.
Trump.
Oh, they always get the high profile jobs.
And now
I wonder whose fucking nephew he is to get to be the Antichrist.
Well, Jared
What
is
are
the
you-
Antichrist, is what I'm saying. No, Trump did say, "I'm the chosen one." At the press conference today, and by the way, he was in the Rose Garden. The press assembled outside. Another incredible standing technique from Trump. We were talking
man.
about he's leaning forward at such an angle, like we said, it looks like he's on the bow of a ship. As
Yeah.
it's crashing into waves.
He's
Maybe off the coast of
He's
Greenland.
Michael Jackson in the Smooth Criminal
Yes.
video.
And I said, I think he uses the same sort of steel reinforced shoes that Michael Jackson and his dancers did to do the Smooth Criminal lean.
And we all know
moonwalk.
why he does it. It's to disguise it. It's the same reason that
His
he
gut.
wears the giant long ties. It's to disguise his gut, because in his mind he's not fat. Other people are fat and disgusting. But
Like
not
he
him.
told that guy in New Hampshire.
Exactly.
He was like,
Even
hey,
though he's
fatso.
a big fat tub. So he leans forward so the gut is less visible. But today he was leaning, it was like a 45-degree angle. And when you consider how top heavy he is, I mean, I don't think anyone has ever seen his leg. Or no, there's that picture of him playing tennis in the shorts. His
Ooh.
legs are just these very sad, stringy, pale things. How they're holding up his bulk at that angle without him falling over, I do not understand.
Yeah.
It's a miracle. It's like how fucking bumblebees fly, even though physically it's not supposed to be possible.
Yeah, Trump is he always he used to brag about his athletic exploits more. He famously said he was at one point the best baseball player in New York. But that actually is an amazing athletic feat.
Yeah,
to
for a man
be-
his age and carriage.
I don't think for an entire press conference, I don't think I could stand like that. And you add 60 pounds of girth to the top. And at how old is he now?
73.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. He I guess
It's like how, they say that mothers get superpowers to pull cars off of their kids. He gets superpowers in his effort to not look fat.
But that's the most amazing part is it doesn't even work because you just look at him and you're like, that fat guy's standing really weirdly. It doesn't hide his head or anything.
No, he just looks like a Macy's Thanksgiving balloon who's like listing to port. Like one of the guys holding like the left wire dropped it.
Oh fuck!
And so
the Pink Panther is crashing into Central Park West. All right, let's get to my favorite one over the last couple days. I'm just going to read it. My proposal to the politically correct automobile companies would lower the average price of a car to consumers by more than $3,000, while at the same time making cars substantially safer. Engines would run smoother. Very little impact on the environment. Foolish executives. So let's begin with the phrase politically correct automobile companies. The PC auto industry in America.
A lot of people were baffled by this, and I was absolutely floored because I was like, where did this even come from? But he had a few other tweets since then later that clarified it, and that's often the way it works.
Yes.
So we're able to piece together what he meant was he's talking about cafe standards. He's talking about the fact that even though he really wants to lower emission standards.
Was this where Felix and Virgil used to work?
For vehicles.
He wants their articles.
The company.
He's trying to purchase the Diggler archive.
I want to hear Pete Bahara's podcast.
So, of course, because he's a black pill, brain dead smog monster, like a villain from fucking Captain Planet episode.
No, the Fern Gully creature.
He wants to get rid of the Obama era cafe standards so that we can all just choke to death even faster in carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide and monoxide and all of them, all the carbons. Folks, we love the carbon, don't we? I want to kiss it. So the Detroit automakers, he kind of was assuming that we would love this. They'd be like, thank you, you're bringing the jobs back once again. But the problem for them is that California is one of the biggest markets for automobiles in the United States, as it should be, biggest state we have. And they have very stringent cafe standards, and they're not changing them. So it actually doesn't make sense it doesn't help the auto industry to have those standards changed nationally, because even if they did that and ignored the standards nationwide, it would mean they couldn't sell those cars in California. So they're kind of in a bind. And presumably he talked to somebody who explained this to him, and that got him very mad because damn political correctness is, and the California crazies are stopping us from having cars that would be cheaper and safer if they didn't have these damn high standards. And someone told him that it cost $3,000 to make the cars more efficient. And that, of course, is what lodged in his head. And so now he's thinking, I can just appeal to the people. Folks, don't you want to pay $3,000 less for your vehicle? It'll be amazing. We get the car. It's the $3,000 less dollars. Don't you want that, folks? And then we can all die together.
Another follow-up to this, he said, the legendary Henry Ford and Alfred P. Sloan, the founders of Ford Motor Company and General Motors, are, quote, rolling over. He put rolling over in quotation marks.
For some amazing reason.
Henry Ford is rolling over at the weakness of our current car company executives willing to spend more money on a car that is not or safe or good and costs $3,000 more to consumers. Crazy. And what I like about that is Henry Ford and his was it Dearborn Weekly are certainly rolling over about a few other things in American culture that I think we just talked about briefly on this show.
Yeah, anti-Semitism on the left.
Yeah, I communed with Henry Ford via Ouija board, and he is appalled by the statements of Representative Taleb and Omar.
Another interesting factoid about Henry Ford, in addition to widely distributing the Protocols of the Elders of Zion and the International Jew.
Well, he did say, like, redistribution, it doesn't equal an endorsement. He was just like, hey, I thought there was some interesting stuff in here. Thoughts?
He was also sort of horrified by his own invention, like the sort of mass production and marketing of cars to the American public, because he was also a horrendous prude and square, and he was terrified that the automobile would give teenagers like a sort of private space to have it away and canoodle with one another outside of the home and the sort of strictures of family courtship. And you know what? He was right, and he's rolling over at the television program Euphoria. Very bad. But Matt, you're right. It's just someone said came up with the number $3,000.
Yeah.
And that's in his head now.
See, but the part of it that baffled me, because that makes sense. They told him that how much it costs. That's how much it costs to keep them energy efficient and emissions efficient. And the thing that I'm getting in my head is that we can make them safer, and the engine will drive smoother. I guess he thinks that the only reason that our vehicles are not these perfect, cheap, safe, cool vehicles is because of our damn PC police telling us we can't belch carbon into the atmosphere as much as we want.
And again, it's like, way too late for it now, but honestly, we should be getting rid of cars entirely.
Yes, no.
We should be getting rid of all like private automobile ownership and use.
Tomorrow.
No, cars fucking suck.
I mean, they kill tens of thousands of people.
Forget all the externalities about fucking climate change or whatever, and the way that they absolutely demolish cities and make them unlivable.
They make cities unlivable, yeah.
Is that they kill thousands of people a year, not just in car crashes, but from emissions, from like the actual emissions from them.
Also, leaded gasoline was probably taking lead out of gasoline is probably like more responsible for like the drop in crime and violence in this country and over the last
than any other single factor. Yes, absolutely.
Anything else?
No, absolutely.
People like still sort of hold on to cars because it's like this illusion of control you have.
Remember we read that Jeff Jacoby thing about how much he loves driving his car and how like bus and bike lanes make him angry because he's like, I'm a little captain. I'm the captain in my car. I can take it wherever I want.
Yeah, I mean, but if you just like told people or like gave people like a budget or like a tax break or something where they could build a little room where they could also be pissed and listen to Five Finger Death Punch, like it would accomplish the same thing. But I don't know. Yeah, it is a form of psychosis that like, you really don't have control over that much in your life, but you're like, technically I could do something that could kill everybody.
You don't even really have control over a fucking car.
No, you don't. You don't.
Cars killing the country, killing the planet. Let's make them better. Let's make more of them. So I guess like here's where I'm going with the dipstick. We're going up his nasal cavity like a fucking ice pick lobotomy. We're just going to tap it with that little medical hammer right here. But here's where I'm going with this. This is what we realize is that like I feel like I think you said this when we were on the train, or Chris, maybe you did. We are going to be thinking about Donald Trump from every day from now until we die, probably.
Yep.
Long after he's dead. And let's be honest, he will probably live to be 120 years old.
For sure.
I mean, he's lived this fucking long. He's definitely going to live another 30 or 40 years. For
indeed.
Sure. We're going to be thinking about him forever. And there's no escape now. I know what was his name? Michael Bennett at the Iowa State Fair. His big pitch was like, if I'm president, you won't have to think about me for weeks at a time. Just go back to sleep. You would like politics. Don't think about it. The White House, not a thing. I'll just pop up once a month, be like, hey, it's the president, everybody. But he just won't, like, the president will, like, I'm so fucking boring. I will just put you to sleep. I won't be on your brain. Even if Michael Bennett became president tomorrow, we would all still be living in Donald Trump's brain.
Oh, absolutely.
And there is no escape. And I had this vision of myself, like, he's already changed the way we talk.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Starts out
I do the hand gestures.
It just starts out as a joke, but I just say now totally unironically things like "bye-bye."
Very nasty.
Yeah, you hear us getting infected with it on the show.
You know what? You're literally hearing it more and more.
Yeah. And it's just like, politically correct automobile companies. It's just these things are just in my brain.
Many French fries.
They're the handsome generals. All the greatest
the Central Casting generals. They're so handsome.
It's like the scene in Soylent Green where they put Edward G. Robinson to sleep with the Soylent Green factory, and it's like you're on a bed and it's just showing you one of those like Time Life music collection ads, but for like Trump's greatest hits. the handsome generals, like, all your favorites. I'd like to be the handsome quarterback's agent. The chairs aren't as big as they used to be. Whatever. And I just had this vision of like, me on my deathbed, surrounded by friends, family, loved ones. Like, the morphine is hitting. Got one foot out the door, and I just begin to mouth something, and then like maybe my beloved child, son or daughter will just be like, "What's that?" He's saying something. So they lean in. I just go, Sissy Graydon Carter's bad food restaurant. His Oscar party is not hot. And that's as the DMT is released. That's what I'm going to be thinking about probably.
Washed up psycho Bette Midler.
That is a really good one.
Yeah.
I forgot. Washed up psycho.
It's the president said that. It's such a press out of nowhere. Washed up psycho Bette Midler.
You know what I've realized about Trump is like he's like the Kill Barney president. Because he's like he would have just been the apprentice guy and like the building guy, but the thing that like sort of made him in the more modern era, like after Atlantic City and all that, was like having a feud with Rosie O'Donnell, just being like, she's a disgusting pig maniac. like it's this, it's like as like a 50, 60-year-old man at the time having the same impulse as like, yeah, like a fifth grader who's like, I'm gonna fucking kill Barney with a sniper rifle. That's what you sound like being like an adult man who's like, fuck Rosie O'Donnell.
All right, so here's this is some fun. It's like getting to the end of the year. We've been talking a lot about the dummycrats.
Oh, I'm sick of these
The
guys.
fucking dummycrats. But you know what?
Liberals.
Let's just check in on our boy because, God, he has had some. By our boy, I mean my president and yours, Donald Trump, because he's said some great quotes.
He's
over the
not.
last
He's
week.
reacting very poorly to this whole impeachment thing, which really is all the evidence you need that he is a moron. Because everyone with any two brain cells can see that nothing is going to happen. He will be acquitted
So
in the Senate, but he still can't stop posting about it.
These are three quotes, once again documented by Daniel Dale, the guy who follows all of this shit and really minds most of like the really good shit out there. Which I was thinking about this the other day when we saw Trump at CPAC. Even I was kind of blown away by how fucking insane everything he was saying was. And
No,
how,
he
like,
was on one.
It was just like, and like you, but apparently, like Daniel Dale, or like the other guys who just follow every single public event he gives and just like documents every bit of it. I mean, like it all comes back to the same shit. Like, but you never ever see this on TV.
Yeah.
On like network news. I mean, like Fox, that's one thing. But I really do think that like the mainstream media is going out of their way to make it seem like he's less insane. Yeah,
because now he's president.
Well, yeah, now he's president. And I think they're really kind of like, as much as they dislike him or like are against him, I'm sure like
they can't destabilize things by really pragmatically how insane he is.
Like exactly, like they still want to keep like the ship of state essentially upright by not putting on TV his
mental breakdowns.
Babblings. Like
he's losing. He is just an absolute maniac.
Yeah. Okay. So like,
I think I've mentioned this to you guys before off mic, but I would just like to say I would love to have Daniel Dale on the show only to just ask him how doing this coverage has made him feel.
Yeah.
And maybe just buy him a drink and be like,
I can't. I'm imagining
you for
him
staring.
I'm imagining him after Trump leaves office, just like at a loss. And just like going to nursing homes to just randomly transcribe conversations between people as on Alzheimer's ward just to feel normal.
Because as you said, Will, seeing one Trump speech, seeing 3/4 of one Trump speech.
Yeah, no, we left halfway through it. We couldn't even take it.
Acute feeling of an astral drill just going straight into your
You feel if you're in a room with Trump just stroking out in front of you, and the crowd, people just eating it up.
You really
feel
the
like
American
reality
flag.
has slipped again.
No, yeah,
and for Dale to have watched literally every Trump speech for going on 5 years now.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, just salute to a hero.
I barely watch him at all, and I find myself will just feel, I'm at a restaurant and I go to refill my soda and I'm just like, Coca-Cola, we love it, folks, don't we? It's Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola. We love it.
I
How
watch
the hell would you do that if every day you're watching him? And I only really pay attention to him very, very. I try not to pay too much attention, but I'm still just like walking around all day, just like, folks, it's pathetic, like a dog, like a dog.
No, I mean, watching him speak at CPAC, I felt like Sam Neill at the end of In the Mouth of Madness, just laughing while losing my mind.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get into just a couple quick hits from our president and yours. Trump says F-35 pilots are better looking than Tom Cruise, who is a good guy with equal faces, but better bodies. He says the F-35 pilots are as handsome as Tom Cruise, but with better bodies.
I love that save at the end, like midway through the sentence. He's like, "Oh, is this too mean to Tom?" Like,
He's
I
a
guess-
good guy.
am I
He's
gonna
got a
get some
great
blowback
face.
on this one?
The face, honestly equal, but the bodies even better. The bodies are better. Look at the bodies. Oh my God, they're so precious. Look at the precious bodies.
I also like that he's like Tom Cruise, who is a good guy. Yeah, that's that thing that we all know about Tom Cruise. He's widely regarded
The guy with
as
slaves.
a good guy.
The guy who
who's
literally has slaves.
pleasant to be around.
Yes, slaves. What?
on fucking Sea Org.
Oh,
People-
those aren't slaves.
Well, okay, if they could leave anytime, I'm sure they could leave anytime they want.
Well, they signed the contract, man.
Yeah,
They signed a contract.
Yeah.
A billion-year service contract.
So again, like remember
They got
you know,
the better bodies. The faces, though, are good.
when he
They're
talks
equal.
about the beautiful, handsome generals, is that when he's talking about the F-35 pilots who are like they're like Tom Cruise except tall and like well hung.
I just love, like, the words he uses, like equal face, is like he is like Danny Zuko and the guys in Greece talking about like fucking Olivia Newton-John. Like they're just imagining, like, oh boy, when I see one of those F-35 pilots, oh my God.
A real tragedy that they have those beautiful faces because they're all going to get decapitated by the malfunction F-35.
Their beautiful faces will get ripped off by the ejection mechanism on the F-35.
Just scrape. Oh, we miscalibrated the angle and you just scraped your face off on the edge of the window.
All right, this is another good one. Later on, Trump says that you used to press a dishwasher once and it was an explosion. And 5 minutes later, steam would come out.
Never used a dishwasher
Now
in his
you
life.
He's
He's seen them on television.
Trump says that you used to press a dishwasher once and it was an explosion, and 5 minutes later, steam would come out.
Yeah.
Now you press it 12 times. Women tell me.
You know, they'll just come up to me crying. They come up to me crying and they say, Mr. President, I pressed the button and it doesn't do anything. There's only 4 drops of water, Mr. President, please. They're crying, folks. They're crying to me.
You used to press a dishwasher and it was an explosion that would 5 minutes later, dishes done, steam coming out.
Like with every one of these things, he is describing a commercial he saw in 1985. That's it.
Finally, this is my favorite. Referencing his own bathroom tweet, he says to the crowd of hogs who are oinking for him, sinks, showers, and what goes with a sink and a shower? The crowd.
Toilets!
The president. I love to
Just in a crowd yelling toilets at your commander-in-chief.
I love to yell toilets.
I love politics. Politics is where you get in a room with your fellow uncles and yell toilets at the president.
So the crowd, toilets. The president responds, 10 times, right? 10 times, he adds. Not me, of course, not me, but you.
You people, you take giant dumps. I've seen them. I see the way you eat. You're just disgusting. You take 3-pound dumps. The toilet can never handle it. Not me. Small ones. Small, tiny bumps. Little bitty
He
ones.
shits like a
Little bitty
rabbit.
bumps. Little bitty poops. Little bitty poops. Beep, 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 bong. I love the fact that Trump hates his supporters more than every liberal. Like, these guys spend their days stewing about all the liberals who look down on them, and none of them hate them with the visceral, insectile loathing that Trump does. Like, imagine Trump having to go to the bathroom in the homes of one of his supporters in, like, Ohio. You know, and I'm not saying like I'm not being classist. Like, they would be a fine home, you know, like a split level in a suburb like in Mason,
Yeah.
Butler County, Ohio, and just like go to the regular normal human bathroom. He would be like fucking Ewan McGregor in Train Spotting, just like repressing his gorge to not vomit around the disgusting pig people that he would never touch in a million years. Amazing. And they love him for it because they know deep down that's all they are. And they love Trump because he's not a fucking phony. He will admit he will tell them to their faces that they're pigs. And they'll be like, thank you for being honest for once. The first person in my life to be honest to my face and tell me that I'm a disgusting little hog.
He'd like my bathroom's nice. He'd like my bathroom.
Is it gold? I don't think he would.
Well, no,
he has a literal golden toilet
In the White House?
in the penthouse of his house.
Well, what does he do in the White House? Save it?
I think he probably somebody made it gold.
Somebody made it gold.
They spray painted it or something.
There'd be a receipt for it.
They went out to fucking Ace Hardware and got some fucking spray paint.
They liberated Saddam Hussein's golden toilet and installed it right off the Oval Office.
Might be.
I'm thinking about, if I ever had to have Trump over my apartment, I'd be nervous as hell. So I'd be showing him all the lights and stuff and thinking, he thinks it sucks. He's just criticizing me in his head.
Well, I
Just
mean, your
looking-
toilet does
looking
take
down.
many times to flush, though. That's the problem.
Actually, that's true.
That's a low flow thing. Well, that's what he's talking about.
That's what he's talking
That's
about.
what he's talking about.
15 times.
So, that's why I'd have him over to say, Mr. President, take a look at this. This is an outrage. Are you going to do something about this, sir?
I remember years ago seeing some fucking pig man from the Wall Street Journal editorial page on Bill Maher's show. What is this? He's just like sort of gap-toothed fucking little oinker. Oh, John Fund.
Oh, yes.
John Fund.
John Fund.
And he was talking about why he's a conservative, and like he just like to illustrate like his differences. He was just like, I don't think you people and again, this is a guy who's like from the upper crust of like Manhattan.
Of course, they all are.
Elite. And he was like, I don't think you understand, and I like conservatives aren't so evil or bad. We just we want to be left alone by the government, and and the example he used to illustrate this point is he was like, we don't want people telling us how much water we can put in our john when we flush our toilets. And I was just like, just thinking about that's how he thinks about the people he's deigning to speak for.
Yeah.
Is just guys taking
Massive shits.
dumps, and they're just having to keep flushing and flushing
Yeah.
and flushing.
See,
because
the pig
government
man, they go and they snuffle at the trough at your old country buffet, or they go to a fast food restaurant and just stuff their disgusting faces, and that creates huge protein-rich dumps that the low-flow toilet simply can't handle. No, I just realized that the reason that Trump is popular, and the reason that the final battle for America's soul will be between him and Bernie, is because Bernie and Trump are the only nationally known politicians who do not condescend to the American people. Every single other politician at both party sides is at some level being like, well, you're all right. Hi, you're the pigs. Hello, pigs. Hello, nice little piggies. You're very look.
That'll
at,
do, pig.
Look at how clean your hooves are. Oh, you're standing on two legs. Very impressive. And at a certain
Very
level,
curly
when
tail
that's
today.
They all think that they're the spider who can write.
and everybody getting that, eventually it's just like, shut the fuck up, be fucking real for a minute, quit lying to me. And Trump is not condescending to them. You people love your Bible, don't you? You love guns, don't you? You little piggies. Your turds are so huge. Look how big your turds are. And then every other Democrat, including especially fucking Hillary Clinton, got poleaxed by him because their entire politics is based on condescension to middle class American families,
Hardworking families.
Americans. It's all like, I'm a fucking trash pig. You would need to admit it. And Bernie is the only one, because he doesn't use the fucking malarkey, to borrow a phrase from Joe Biden, and speaks to visceral class interests. He's going underneath the politesse and all the manneristic bullshit. And the only two politicians who really do that are him and Trump, which is why they need to finally confront one another in an apocalyptic showdown.
It's going to happen. All right, so it's done. We were talking about this. Donald Trump may be the greatest celebrity in human history.
No question.
As a person, I agree. The best person who is ever a celebrity,
the
I
best
agree.
celebrity ever.
No one has ever done what he's done with it,
Maybe-
especially considering how meager the resume really is. He was
Ronald Reagan became president, but he was a politician before that.
He was two-term governor of California, the biggest fucking state in the union.
Yeah, and he was successful as an actor. He was in the best movies of the time. The Ape movie.
People love
Bedtime for
the
Bonzo.
movie where he pretended to free Auschwitz after he really did it. Yeah.
Newt Rockney, All-American.
Yeah.
He's
played
about the football player who died of AIDS.
Yeah. It was cool when movies were just there's a swell guy who's a football player. That's the plot. Okay.
So yeah, I guess that's the other thing about the difference between being rich and wealthy is that once you pass a certain level, wealth means that there's nothing you can do.
Yep.
and there's no action which you could personally undertake and that will ever make you not rich.
Because you have the connections, because somebody else has a vested interest in keeping you, even if it's just as a brand and a face, which is what Trump was for most of his career, for you know, money laundering and shit, and like offsets and all that stuff. They would just use him as a pass-through, and he was useful for that reason, so he was never going to go anywhere, no matter how much of an absolute dope he was.
And the funny thing is, like, you know, the money that his dad gave him, was it like $30 million
Yeah.
to start out with? If he had taken that $30 million and put it in, like, treasury bonds, he would be wealthier today.
Just an index fund or
like,
something.
he
Yeah,
would be
way more
vastly more wealthy and successful than he is now, but it wouldn't fucking matter, and he wouldn't be president because, like, all that losing billions of dollars, it allows him to pretend that he's a fucking Gordon Gekko business shark, real estate
that's how he became a
hustling
brand. That
deals
then became
guy.
the
Yeah, and that's
deals guy. Why he got hired to be the host.
And
of
that's
the
why,
Apprentice.
despite all of the fact that he's actually a really terrible deals guy, that's why all of his fans love him, is because he plays the role
he is on
of,
TV
of an asshole.
doing deals, so he's gonna do the deals.
I mean, if you think about the perfect guy to run America as a business, wouldn't it just be like a real estate developer who kind of sucks at it and then just gets into branding?
Yeah.
Isn't that just America?
That's the story of America.
That is the
Damn.
story of America. He's the perfect man. And I mean that in every sense of that term. He's
Physically?
a good person. He looks
Physically,
good. He's
sure.
a morally good person.
A fucking Adonis.
I mean, look at it. Like, he gave up his businessman lifestyle
to be mocked and jeered
Yeah,
at.
that's the best.
That's
Trump
the best
meme.
Trump. I love
Yeah.
He gave all that up
to become the most hated man ever.
for us.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
like he's like Jesus Christ. Basically.
I love that. Just cut that to like Nellie Orr is disgusting.
What was the one you found the other day? An old Trump tweet where he was getting mad at a golf course because it was like the greens look terrible.
Oh,
This is an embarrassment to golf.
Oh, well, shows that he was senile in like 2013 because he's just tweeting directly at Golf Magazine.
Golf Digest.
Yeah,
He's
Golf
tweeting-
Digest. And he's like, this course is an embarrassment to golf. And he doesn't even say what course it is. He's not replying to anything. He's just adding fucking Golf Digest. There are so many. I feel very accomplished because I found the only Trump tweet that mentions Kate Upton.
Really?
Yeah. It's only one, and it's apropos of nothing. And he goes, a Victoria's Secret rep was very nasty to Kate Upton, and now she's a big star. There's nothing before that about her. Nothing after. Do you think that was just him shooting his shot? I don't know.
Someone did this the other day. They posted it's like an easy thing, but like you see it and it never doesn't get me. It's a still from like a Fox News or cable news of Donald Trump sitting next to Tiger Woods, and the headline says, President Donald Trump bestows Presidential Medal of Freedom upon Tiger Woods. And someone said, what would, like, if you could beam that image back to just 2014 and show it to someone?
Yeah.
Like
Instant brain death.
Instant, like you would go through the Stargate.
Yeah,
instantly.
instant brain death.
But the thing that I watched the whole, like Catherine covered both of them for Splinter, and I watched all of the Harris Biden Booker debate, and like I was just screaming at the TV the whole time. And then I woke up the next morning to read like the media rundowns of like their analysis of, who won the debate. Now, folks, I don't use this term lightly, but when I say I've never felt more gaslit in my life, like this is really what that means. Because I watched that debate and I was like, Joe Biden is as senile as Donald Trump.
Oh, absolutely.
He was a doddering, stuttering mess the entire debate. He couldn't get a fucking word out.
Yeah.
He kept like cutting himself off and saying things like, anyway. And then I read the rundown, and every single pundit used the words strong and energetic to describe Biden's debate
potency.
appearance. And I'm like, this is gaslighting. We all watched the same fucking thing. And I know everyone glommed onto the thing where he was like, listen, I want you to visit Joe /Biden.co biz 30. 20,
No, it
30.
would have made more sense if he'd done that. He just listed numbers. He said, go to Joe 3088.
And that was like,
he was listening to Suicide Hotline. He was raising awareness, and you guys are making fun of it. Joe Biden looked young. He looked energetic. He looked with it when he turned to Pete Buttigieg and said, "Oh, honey, bringing all that and you got a pickle and a spear, huh?" You got all that? The chips come with you too, honey? All right, have a great day. He looked ready to lead. He showed like he's the opposite of Donald Trump, as far as just executive experience and like grace. When he turned to every single woman at the audience at once and said, "Hey, honey, so I didn't know they still had parades for gals like you, huh?" And no one knew what the fuck he was talking about, and it was awesome. It was everything.
God, part of me really does want to see him get the nomination, just to see those debates between these two sundowning grandpas bouncing off of each other like they escaped from a rest home. And we're all supposed to watch and be like, yeah, this society is going to exist in 20 years for sure.
Joe Biden is going to destroy Donald Trump when like his cataracts confuse him for like Becky Quick or whoever the fuck is on CNN at the first debates, and he just kisses Donald Trump on the forehead and rubs the small of his back and goes, all right, sweetheart, you got a limit on 10 broken hearts tonight, all right? And Donald Trump walks away confused, and he's like, just fucking goes in on Condé Nast Media Properties. And then Joe Biden takes off his shirt and says, You fancy yourself a tough guy? Let's do some push-ups, okay? And then they just both fall down on the floor because they both pulled their backs. And that's like, this is the most pivotal election of our lives when that happens. And then Donald Trump talks about how he stopped a mass shooter in Central Park in 1972 by getting out of his limo and throwing his briefcase at him. Hey, that's enough. Hey, that's not good stuff. And Joe Biden says that there was a similar situation where a guy tried to mass shoot the only building in Delaware, and Joe Biden threw a softball at him. Actually did a baseball-style change-up, so the shooter thought it was coming at him slowly, and then it just knocked him out. And then he goes, and there was a hot dog stand there, too. And you know what? Yeah, you kids today, you put avocados and all that stuff in the hot dog, but oh boy, back then, you just needed your mustard and your ketchup. And a beautiful girl with you in my. Oh, we won't talk about that. All right, sweetheart in the front row. Wow, you got the bow. Did you come with the bow still on, sweetie? All right, great. And that's the I'm donating. I'm maxing out to both of those candidates because
Trump and Biden spent 20 minutes during the first debate talking about whether it's okay to put ketchup on a hot dog. But no, we were talking about this last night. Like, if it's Biden and Trump in the general, those debates will have to be held before 1 o'clock in the afternoon, right before their nap. And like before their blood sugar crashes.
In the middle of the debate, a nurse is going to come out and give them their medication.
Before these debates commence, will everyone rise for the Empire Carpets jingle? Played at max volume in the background of a phone call for some reason. And the phone call is about how to access your own email.
They cut to Biden and he's eating out of a Jell-O cup. They have a 20-minute discussion about how to program a VCR. I mean, that's not even an exaggeration considering how much Trump loves to talk about TiVo. It's great. It's TiVo. You go beep, 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 and then you watch it faster. It's TiVo, folks. We love it. And then Biden's like, that TiVo, yeah, that's pretty great. You get to rewind it. It's a miracle.
So you gals in the audience, I'd like to maybe watch you on slow-mo. Just kidding.
I'd like to imagine Trump TiVos all his programs, but does it so that he can like rewatch the commercials. He doesn't fast forward through them. He rewinds them, and he's like,
"I can't believe the Sprint guy switched. Very unfair, treacherous."
You know what? It's the beautiful general, the auto insurance general.
You know, he's like, look at how strong he is. He's so handsome. Central casting general, look at him.
Shaquille O'Neal, that's a big guy.
He's big. He's big.
Some of these generals even, volunteer the time outside of the army to help people get auto insurance. What Trump tweet I love because it shows that he was senile like fucking 7 years ago is the one where he's like, "Who's paying for this tedious Smokey Bear commercial?"
Enough of this. I think it's the only time in his life he has used the word tedious. And it was to describe a Smokey the Bear.
Who did he hear that from? That's like who did he talk to that said tedious?
Yeah.
And he actually used it correctly.
Yeah, no, somebody said it to him 20 minutes before that, and it just stuck in his head. And he just by accident used it correctly.
But like that was
He actually thought it meant great. He's like, "This is a tedious." He's smoking the bear ad. It's amazing.
But like that one's so good because it's like such Trump brand. Like he doesn't think it's like the forest preserve, like the EPA or whatever, paying for it to be like, hey, don't start forest fires. He's like, whose agenda is being served by this awful bear?
And also, it's a tedious commercial, implying that there are non-tedious commercials. And it's like, no, the rest of these commercials fantastic. Oh my God, thrill rides.
No, he absolutely has commercials he loves.
Oh no, he sings along with the 1877 Cars for Kids ad every time he sees it. He claps his little hands together like a seal.
Do you think that like the lawyers?
He thinks the Cars for Kids commercial is a company that sells automobiles to children.
Timmy made a tremendous deal.
Do you think
with this car?
He accidentally got the lawyers he did for the Mueller investigation because he just like subconsciously picked guys who looked like Celino and Barnes. This is the best lawyers.
I'd like to imagine Trump addressing the next spate of mass shootings and saying that we need to combat this by bringing back McGruff the crime dog.
He probably
Take
has
a
some
bite out of
grudge
crime.
against McGruff.
No, you're right. McGruff was probably very, very rude to him at one point.
If you don't like Smokey, you probably fucking hate McGruff.
He's against all anthropomorphic animals.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a dog wearing a trench coat. You think you're better than me?
Chuck E. Cheese's last album was a flop.
Okay, you're right.
No one wants to listen, Charles. Go home, sweetie. Bye-bye. You very nasty.
You're right. I think he does hate Matt, like you. He hates tunes of any kind. He hates anthropomorphized animals telling him to do anything. So I think Trump, to counter the violence among America's youth, he should back a PSA ads where his friends in the mafia tell children how bad guns are.
Yeah.
These are some rough guys. They say it's no good unless they owe you money.
That's the funniest shit ever. Like before he started The Apprentice, I've talked about it a billion fucking times, but when they're like, I didn't know about having a TV show because I often do deals with the mafia. Like he literally said that. like in a newspaper, like the mafia comes into my office all the time and they don't like camera. Like it's so cool because like you go back to like Obama and like he shouldn't have like gotten that house from Tony Rezko, but that's everyone in Chicago does that. I bought a house from Tony Rezko. My mom did, and pretty like everyone does it. It's fine.
Jeremy Piven.
Well, okay, let's leave him out of this, but but then you have like the next guy who's just like in an interview with like one of those places that would interview Trump in like 2005, like GQ or something. He's like, I'm friends with the mob. And it's just like, it's that doesn't matter, or it's like part of some 12D chess.
Yeah, though, but